Like, Panasonic just announced the Panasonic Lumix S1ii. This is not the S1ii, of course, because I'm not that big of a creator for Panasonic to fly me out or give me the S1ii to review, but this is the S5 just holding its space. And there are a lot of mixed reactions about this camera so far on the internet from a number of creators. I'm Chevaughn Beckford, and let's talk about the Panasonic Lumix S1ii. Disclaimer, I'm not sponsored by Panasonic, but I've been a Panasonic user since 2020. I started with the Lumix G7 Micro Four Third camera, then I got the Lumix S5, the OG S5, and I'm shooting this video on the S5 2X. So I've been using Panasonic for a long period of time. I used to use Nikon as well, so my bias might lean slightly towards Panasonic due to the fact that I'm a Lumix user. I'm not going to really disrespect the brand that I'm using to create content, but I'm going to give a very honest and unbiased opinion as it relates to the S1ii and the way it is being brought on the internet by other creators who whether use Panasonic or don't use Panasonic and the way they're talking about the camera. So first up, I love what Lumix is doing currently. Lumix is changing the game. They're bringing the heat, they're beefing up the competition similar to what DJI is doing. And if you didn't know, DJI is also a part of the L-Mount Alliance. That is an alliance with a lot of different camera companies who come together to make L-mount lenses and L-mount cameras. Within a group, you have Leica, Leitz, Sigma, Lumix, DJI. I think Sirui is inside it, Blackmagic Design, Samyang, just to name a few. If I forgot any, you can leave them in the comments. And Lumix started making full-frame cameras in 2019. That's pretty recent compared to other companies such as Nikon, Sony, Canon, you can name a few more. But Lumix has always been revolutionizing the mirrorless camera community. They've been making amazing mirrorless cameras. The famous Lumix GH5, even my famous Lumix G7. Those cameras were and still are amazing cameras. Even if you want to pick them up today to start content creation, they're really good. But an issue Lumix had over the years was their autofocus system. Lumix was still using contrast detect autofocus. Even though it was very accurate compared to phase detect, it was very slow compared to phase detect. But recently with the Lumix S5 II and the Lumix S5 2X, now the S9, the GH7, they have phase detect autofocus on their cameras. And it has changed the game. Since Lumix got phase detect autofocus, they're now competing with camera brands like Canon and Sony, and we all know Lumix had a ton of features on their cameras before, but now they have phase detect and their prices were always lower than their competitors, like the S5 for instance. The reason I took up this camera in 2021 compared to the Sony a7S III or the Canon R5 was the price. The price of those cameras back then was insane. I got this camera, the Lumix S5, for $2,000 with the 20 to 60 millimeter kit lens that came with it. And I couldn't even get the Sony a7S III body for $2,000, much less a lens. And I used this camera to kickstart my photography and filmmaking career from then, even built this channel from the ground up with this camera. So I know what I'm talking about when I say value for money when it comes to Lumix. Now with the S1ii, it's getting a lot of hate online. People are saying, oh, it's not the FX3 killer. Oh, you're comparing a 2025 camera to a 4-year-old camera, the FX3 and the A7 III. Oh, I shoot FX3 because it's what my clients ask for. Once I say Sony, I automatically get the job and I make more money. Oh, it's just not Sony, it's a dinky Lumix. Like, bro, come on. You sound like those people who buy an iPhone or a BMW or Mercedes and think they automatically made it in life. Like, it's a status symbol for you. It seems as if it's not the quality or what you're getting for your money that matters. It's literally just buying the product for bragging rights. Like, come on, and you're showing people your mindset and your true colors online, especially on Threads and Twitter. Now X, formerly Twitter. When you talk like that, are you really a creator or you're a free ambassador? Like, I love Lumix, but if Panasonic Lumix makes a crappy product, I'm gonna say it's crappy, I don't like it. Like, I hated contrast detect autofocus. I mean, when it sticks, it's accurate, don't get me wrong. But it takes a while to get the focus stuck to me and not jumping off to the background, and I didn't like that. Focus. I'm using the Lumix S1ii and we know the autofocus isn't the best, so forgive me if I'm out of focus, guys. I found this flower and it looks pretty cool. I hope I'm in focus though, because I'm using the Panasonic Lumix S1ii and we know how the contrast detect autofocus is on the original S1ii. I'm not gonna say, oh, it's perfect. Yeah, no, it wasn't perfect. It was slow. And Canon and Sony were doing better job compared to Lumix when it related to autofocus. And I was honest to talk about that. I'm not gonna say, oh, but Lumix colors are good, but Lumix is cheaper, but Lumix is No, their focus sucked back then and they fixed it. They listened and they fixed it. I'm not gonna wallow in a brand even though they're not doing well, just because they're a brand name within the industry. Lumix is a small company, and for such a small company, well, not really a small company, but compared to Canon and Sony or even Nikon, their market share is very small. And for such a small company with such a small market share, they're making big company strides that your big giants aren't making. Like the Lumix S1ii that it now offers 4K 120 frames per second. I think it shoots in 8K. Is it the S1ii or is it the S1R2? I'm not sure, but yeah, it's game changing. It now uses CF Express type cards in the S1ii. I know the Sony guy, oh, but the Sony, you've been using that, but how much does the FX3 cost? Tell me how much the FX3 costs even right now compared to the S1ii. Go ahead, tell me. And the S1ii is a hybrid camera. It's made with amazing video specs and it can still take amazing photos. It's a hybrid camera. You don't have to rig it out. All you need to shoot videos is the lens, microphone, you're good to go. The Sony, you're gonna need a monitor, you're gonna need a top handle, you're gonna need this, you're gonna need that. It's a cine camera, you have to build it out. And if you're gonna do a photo shoot, you're gonna have to get another camera to get the photo shoot done, because the Sony FX3 is not a photo camera. It's same for the A7S III. It has 12 megapixel. It's a good video camera and it can take decent photos, but it's not gonna take photos as good as what the Lumix S1ii is able to take. Not even the S5. The Lumix S5 takes photos that would blow the Sony A7S III and FX3 out the water. That's even if the FX3 can take photos anyway. But that doesn't disregard the fact that the A7S III and the FX3 are great cameras. I would pick them up right now. But the thing is, I use Lumix. I love the S1ii because I have a Lumix ecosystem. That doesn't give me the right to trash on Sony. I'm gonna highlight the flaws that a camera company has, and I'm gonna highlight their advantages. I'm not just gonna look at their flaws and then criticize and whine about a camera brand online. Like the Lumix S5, we all know the 30-minute limit when recording 4K 60 frames per second, and that crop when you go to 4K 60 frames per second. We know that's a limit. But on Sony, they're gonna defend it with their life. Even that overheating issue, they're gonna defend that with their life. Like Lumix cameras, you have to be working them like a mule to get them to overheat. And even then, I doubt they will shut off. They literally build a fan in the Lumix S5 2X because it records ProRes internally. So they build a fan to compensate when you're recording 4K ProRes internally. You can even attach an SD card externally to record on the Lumix S1ii. And no one highlights those simple features that change the lives of us as content creators, filmmakers, whatever it is you do with your cameras if you want to record your cat. No one highlight those good features that Lumix are putting out on their cameras for us, the consumers, unlike what Sony is doing. But they will praise Sony and slaughter Lumix. But yeah, that's just my personal 2 cents on the Panasonic Lumix S1ii launch earlier this month, and I'm honestly contemplating picking one up because the specs, they fit me, and as I said, I'm in the L-mount ecosystem. So for me to get a Sony FX3, a Sony a7 IV, whatever it is from Sony, I would have to buy all those things from scratch to join the ecosystem. With Lumix, all the batteries I have for my S5 works in my S5 The lenses, they're L-mount. The cage, it's a half cage. They can work interchangeably. So it's hard to get a new camera into an ecosystem, but I would willingly try a new camera. I'm not going to trash a camera brand just because I use another camera. We should learn to accept things for what they are and stop trashing or ridiculing things just because they're not what we have or what we like. Not because you have an opinion means your opinion is valuable to others and you should go ahead and offend others because of your opinion. We should all be thanking these amazing companies for considering us whenever they're making their products, instead of saying, oh yeah, that's nice, but I'm not gonna buy it because my customers like Y. Yeah, well, yeah. Anyways, guys, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button and the like button. I make videos that talk about filmmaking and photography, especially on Lumix stuff. If you're interested in that, hit the subscribe button and the like button. Chevaughn Beckford, I'm going now. I'm finished ranting. Peace. Yeah. Hit the subscribe button so I can get the S1ii. Peace. Bye. Buttery smooth autofocus. I like that. Yeah, I really like that.